Greetings and salutations, DMs, GMs, referees, judges, game operations directors, and all other varieties of storytellers. This is your DM, Scott, and
your DM, Bill, and
I am Lou.
And it's time for yet another quasi-DM quick tip.
Hey.
Yes?
How's it going?
I'm in mourning.
Me too.
yeah, we're talking Death
Of a Dragon.
It's a sad day.
Sounds like a Lifetime movie. Death of a Dragon, starring John Stamos and Melissa Gilbert.
The movie already died.
Little House on the Lair. Death of a Dragon. That could be pretty dramatic.
And if it's not, I gotta say, you missed a great opportunity.
If I recollect correctly, the very first year we went out on our little getaway was highlighted by the Death of a Dragon and the rebirth.
Yep.
Yeah. It should be a big deal.
It should be.
In all cases, whenever you're doing anything with a dragon, it should be a big deal. You should not just be dealing with a large bag of meat, but as it says here, something that is intimately bound up with a fabric of magic that undergirds the material plane. It's a being that is in tune with the very plane itself and the ripples of magic that kind of striate it.
And not only that, its presence, like I said, ripples through the wildlife, through the ecosystem, its entirety for miles around.
Yeah, it's the abrupt absence of a super predator.
Yes. Well, that and a magical presence that is just a foundry that magic just spews from. And that magic itself works its way into the earth, the water, the air, the animals, the beings. Everything in the area is imbued in some way, even if it's not just part of predation. It's part of the fabric of everything in that area. And now it's a giant void occurs.
Later on in the book,
Yes.
you'll see that it actually...
Yes, it goes into that.
It goes into that quite a bit.
Yep. At the moment, let's just deal with our poor little dragon going. Some sages describe dragons as being akin to knots in the fabric of magic. Concentrations of power in the material form. When a dragon dies, that knot is undone, sometimes resulting in a surge of magical energy. You can use the Draconic Death Throes table to help you describe what happens when a dragon dies. Characters who slay the dragon are often on their last legs when the dragon finally succumbs. So if an effect is likely to kill a character, roll again and choose a less dangerous result.
Or kill the character.
Or kill the characters, yeah.
Because if you're fighting a dragon, there has to be a sense of mortality, even for 5th edition, which it's very hard to die in.
This is an epic level event.
Yeah, you can or should expect, if you're going toe-to-toe with a dragon, to lose some comrades.
I'm not happy unless it's 20%.
Yeah, I
more.
think if you're going to face down something that is described as a knot of magic, then
in the fabric of the material.
Yeah,
plane?
it's not something that just any band of yahoos can assume to just, steamroll over. It's a dragon, an extremely powerful being.
Look at some of the breath weapons that are in this book: 12d12, 10d8, and 12d8, and along with the saves that are associated with DCs of 23, 24, 25. Yeah, there's a lot of hurt here, and if you survive it barely, no one's walking out of this unscathed.
The Dragon Death Throes table I find to be pretty flaccid at best.
Yeah, I was not impressed. Could see this bumped up to a D30 real fast.
Absolutely.
But this is a good start for a new DM.
It is a good start.
It's somewheres, yeah.
Yeah, it is a good start for the new DM. What I like about these books that Wizards of the Coast is putting out is that it seems like they have the new DM in mind, more so than the veteran DM. I could
Agreed.
I could skim through this
too.
book and pick out what I want, use some of it, but probably not a whole lot of it, and just go with it.
Yes.
But for someone who is a new DM
And unfamiliar with running something like this.
right, and who doesn't listen to our podcast, I mean, you're forgiven for that. But
No, they're
tell
not.
all your new
They're not.
tell all your new
Damning
DM
you.
friends, listen to us. Somebody should like us.
If you're not listening and you've heard us for the first time and don't think, maybe I'm not going to listen again, I will damn your soul. And the only way to have any form of reconciliation is to get at least 6 other people to listen.
Bill is a lich.
Yes, I am.
So the table, not great, but it's a good start, as Lou said, for a new DM. Well, I think we touched upon this a little bit at the beginning. Bill, you made mention of that, but regional reversal, some instantaneous effects, some take a little bit longer, but water within 6 miles of the dragon's lair changes color and is fouled for up to 1d10 days through magical means, through massive blood loss, through
a number of things.
Anything, yeah.
Well, you don't know how many magical traps or other things that are in the lair that suddenly are either released or no longer bound and have worked their way through the stone and through the waterways and are just leaked out the front door.
I always treated magic as something like radiation.
Yeah.
There's going to be some effects by using magic or slaying a being of incredible magical power. What happens when the vessel's broken, right? You get it's like putting a hole in a swimming pool. Eventually, the sides burst and all this water comes rushing out. Same thing with a being of extreme magical power.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's something very similar.
You got restless sleep. Any creature that sleeps within 6 miles of the lair is troubled by nightmares for the next 1d10 days.
I really think that's neat.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I would use these with specific types of dragons, particularly like the evil ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The bad guys, the red dragons, the black dragons, even to
Blue,
some extent,
green.
those baddies. Here you go, Bill. This sounds familiar.
Yeah, doesn't it? Trembling earth. An enormous tremor shakes the earth within 6 miles of the lair. Once again, I was prophetic.
Yeah, I don't know if Crawford had our game sessions bugged or not, but all you need to do is knock on the door, Jeremy. We would have let you in.
Yeah. And this book would have came out a decade earlier.
It was much needed. Not for us, though. We were ahead of the curve.
Hell yeah. Wildlife changes. Creatures previously attracted by the dragon's presence undergo sharp behavioral changes, perhaps attacking any creature they see or beginning to mass migration away from the lair.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I would imagine that some wildlife would move out and others would move in.
Yeah, it depending on the dragon, would depend on what wildlife moves out. Maybe there was a good dragon there protecting certain animals.
Yep.
Well, think of the Lord of the Rings, and when Smaug died, all the ravens came back to the mountain.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
And that was one of the signs that the dragon was dead. That all the ravens came back.
That's right.
The weather within 6 miles of the lair changes dramatically. I see that like really, really cool. Like, maybe the dragons themselves aren't necessarily attracted to swamps or Arctic environments, but they bring those with them.
Yeah, it slowly becomes that because of the magical influence.
What was once fertile farmland may slowly come back as the swamp from the black dragon dissipates, or as the frost from the white dragon begins to recede. Any number of things like that.
Withering burst, ordinary vegetation within 1 mile of the dragon's lair blackens and shrivels.
I can see that too.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with maybe like a good dragon's death.
Yeah, because everything was
like
enriched by its presence, but now that it's gone, there'll be that it's not. You don't have the magical sustenance that it had before. Now it has to rely on good old fashioned the old way.
Yeah, the same could be said for evil dragons too.
Yes.
with the darker plant life and things like that too. As when that dragon dies, they're no longer under that influence.
Well, it's also the sudden burst of that evil necrotic magic, and it's not being contained anymore.
Right.
So everything just withers and dies, immediately, and then slowly has to come back again.
Yeah.
Passing the mantle.
This is an interesting concept, I think, where a dragon's power is passed on in some way, shape, or form, and I think it makes for really neat role playing and adventure ideas, right? Because at some point in time, or somewhere in the world, there's going to be a scholar or scholars that are pretty well versed in dragon lore.
Mm-hmm.
So they would know that, okay, this band of adventurers is going to go out, they're going to take care of the dragon, or a dragon has died either by natural means or has been slain. So I'm going to send my hirelings out there to try to grab some of that magical energy, because if I can get any of this magical energy, I could start producing really potent magical items.
Yes.
So I imagine there'd be special vessels.
Oh, for containment of
the
liquids and solids, and here's the boxes that are lined specifically for teeth and bones and scales, and
like these Ghostbuster backpacks with giant earthenware jars on them and like hoses running to them where they just suck the magic out of the air because it's so heavy and dense that maybe it's even just dropping like rain. But it's invisible, you can't see it, but it's all over the place.
Or maybe do see it, and it's this slowing, ever descending dust that constantly seems to be falling, almost like a light snow from the ceiling.
Yeah.
So what is this? But it's the magic that's been built up, and it's no longer bound to the dragon or itself.
Gold,
there's this shimmering. You're being rained on by glitter. Magical glitter.
And maybe that's how the transferal happens to some individuals that are maybe more adept or maybe more attuned to dragon kind. Maybe there's a bloodline or maybe they are just they have the right makeup to be.
Or there's the ones that they actually put in the book.
Yeah.
Which we kind of bypassed entirely. Investiture, a dying dragon might willingly pass on power in different ways. The most common process for the recipient to inhale the dragon's dying breath, which often involves being subjected to at least a diminished form of the dragon's breath weapon. Gem dragon might psionically implant the gemstone in the recipient's body that carries the dragon's power. And a dragon might instead lay a claw on the recipient or bequeath a piece of treasure as an embodiment of the transferred power.
Or when a dragon dies a violent death, the power might linger in the corpse for a short period of time, drinking or bathing in the dragon's blood, sleeping entombed in the carcass, a la
Luke Skywalker.
Star Wars. Yeah, it was
On Hoth?
Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
Or consuming the dragon's heart, brain, eyes, breath-producing organ, or muscle can be an effective way of claiming the fallen creature's magical might. Using a dragon's corpse this way might be a trial in itself, as the lingering energies in the body can cause serious injury even after the dragon's death. It'd be like that show on the Food Network, where the guy goes and tries to eat like the 30-pound hamburger.
Never saw it.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he's going
those
weird,
unnecessarily large meals.
There's a 98-pound steak, or
If you can eat that 42-pound dragon's heart all in one sitting in under a half an hour without vomiting,
you get to eat here for life for free.
Yeah, and maybe you'll get like dragon power.
There you go.
I can see cults popping up all over the place on stuff like maybe even an evil warrior. It's like, all right, this dragon just died. We just slayed this dragon. All right, guys, back off. I'm getting naked and I'm going in. I'm bathing in the blood.
Actually, things like that are actually covered in this book as well.
Exactly.
You want to take the last one?
Sure. Automatic transfer. It is also possible for a dragon's power to transfer immediately and automatically to a creature that participates in the dragon's death or that are present when the dragon dies. A burst of power might emanate from the dragon at the moment of death, affecting each creature within 300 feet of the body, or a fragment of power might enter every creature that has dealt damage to the dragon over the course of the dragon's life.
Not bad.
You have to say there can be only one at the end of the, when you get the
when you crawl out of the carcass next morning.
It's almost like when like a Green Lantern dies and you get the ring, passed on to you. Only there's no jewelry involved
or really bad CGI.
I would have a hard time with, like, why would everybody that's damaged or harmed the dragon get a little bit of its energy?
There are only suggestions. You don't have to get hung up on it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would use that.
Along.
Well, there's nothing really to move along. We're all done with it.
I know.
We're all done.
Well, it was, after all, a quick tip.
It was.
A not so quick tip.
Quasi quick tip.
And that's Death of a Dragon. We'll see you next time in the dojo.